You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
We have no March Madness.
Yeah.
And I think, that makes me sad. And I understand there are more important things going on in the world. But March Madness is something that I look forward to all sports season.
Yeah, what are we supposed to bet each other on?
Well, here you go, Daniel. We are coming out with a March Madness best sitcom bracket.
Woo!
So I did several minutes of research over the weekend.
At least 5.
To come up with a bracket of 32 sitcoms. The only real because
there are 32 sitcoms.
There's so much more. Actually,
I know.
I started with, just for full disclosure, I started with a list of 50,
Wow.
and I had to go through and eliminate a bunch of them to trim it down to 32.
So you were the one-man selection committee.
I was the one. I did submit it for approval to you and to Andrew.
Yeah, I look good.
Yeah.
I feel.
I also asked Angel for help, and she helped me, I think, correct one thing.
I made one addition to it.
Yes, Daniel did have some input. Andrew was on a boat.
I feel reading through this list, I feel like the guy who's like,
Yeah.
I know some of these words.
Good burger.
Nice.
I've seen some of these shows.
So this bracket will be posted to our Twitter and Facebook pages. All the voting is going to take place on Twitter because seems to be the best and easiest place to do polls to get people engaged.
I'm gonna have to figure out my Twitter password.
But we have 4 regions, just like the NCAA tournament. There are 8 sitcoms in each region. There's not a ton of rhyme or reason to why they're regioned the way they are, except one of the region has almost all of the really old shows in it.
Okay.
But I'm just going to go through and I'm going to start naming all the matchups in each region. And then all of these Twitter polls will be posted today, and voting will run through Sunday of next week. When we record the show next week, we're going to announce the first round winners.
Did he pack this bracket? I just realized that we didn't give proper oversight to the creation of this bracket.
No, you did not. All right, so I'm gonna reveal the matchups in each region. Okay, so the regions don't have names, but if you feel like you want to name one of them, go right ahead.
Yeah, or if you feel like you want to sponsor a region,
give us a call.
Go right ahead.
We like money.
Yeah. So the first matchup in the first region will be the 1 seed The Office, which was the number 1 overall number 1 seed, going up against the 8th seed King of Queens. Do either of you have a strong opinion about either of these shows?
I've seen The Office.
I like The Office. It should win that matchup.
Yeah, I like
the King of Queens.
I know that you like King of Queens.
I love King of Queens.
But I haven't... that's a scatter watch for me. Like, I've never sat down and watched a bunch of episodes, but I have stopped on it while watching TV.
I've watched it all beginning to end, and I really enjoy it, but I also recognize that it is not one of the best sitcoms.
Yeah.
So that's a one that's going to win. The next one is number 2 seed Parks and Rec going up against number 7 seed The Jeffersons.
I love Parks and Rec.
And because Twitter skews so old, maybe no, it doesn't skews young. Yeah, Parks and Rec's going to win that one.
I was going to say, I've also seen Parks and Rec.
In that same region, we have the 3 seed 30 Rock going up against 6 seeded Scrubs.
This is going to be a tough one,
I've seen both of these.
Yeah.
Both good, and I loved Scrubs for a period of time. I've actually seen that one from beginning to almost end. It was one of those shows where they tried to mess with the cast at the end of it, and you just kind of stopped watching it. Yeah. But, so I've watched more Scrubs than 30 Rock here. I think there could be a chance for an upset, though, although 30 Rock's hilarious.
There could be a chance for an upset, and this is definitely a side effect of my bias in seeding. But I don't really care for Scrubs. I have seen it and I didn't really like it, but I love 30 Rock. Then also the final matchup in that region will be the number 4 seed Community going up against 5 seeded How I Met Your Mother. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
That could be close,
especially since I feel neither show ended well.
Yeah.
Because Community went downhill hard as soon as Donald Glover left. In my opinion,
pronounced Donald.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, the Childish
As soon as
Gambino.
Childish Gambino left, that show went downhill quickly. How I Met Your Mother, that was another one where I watched it religiously and then tailed off at the end because I just felt like it kind of tailed off as well. But at their heights, both hilarious shows.
Do either of you have a favorite out of this region besides The Office? Here's the number one seed going to come out of that one.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I think
I'm-
Parks and Rec has a
is my
chance to beat
favorite.
it. Okay.
I think Parks and Rec could make it to the Final Four.
Okay. All right, the next region, number one seed. This is going to be controversial because this is a polarizing show.
It is.
Number one seed is Friends.
And I think that Friends are like Duke. They are the Duke of this list.
I
Some
think-
people hate them because they're Duke, and other people love that show.
I think Duke might be a little more universally hated than Friends.
I think you're right.
But I can see your point.
Yeah.
The number two seed in this one is The Big Bang Theory, and it's going
Wait.
up against the
Who's Friends going against?
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Okay.
Did I not say that?
I
No, you did not.
Yeah.
The 8th seed. And
Eighth-
Everybody Loves
Eighth
Raymond.
seeded Everybody Loves
which
Raymond.
is a beloved show.
I've seen it.
It is very funny.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting what our demographic votes on Twitter because
Yeah.
that would be a heck of an upset.
I actually think that I may or may not have put a really strong 8 seed up against Friends for no reason at
Knew
all.
it.
Moving
Okay.
on. The second seed in this region is Big Bang Theory going up against 7th seeded Eastbound and Down. Eastbound and Down is a really niche,
Yeah.
like you have to be into it to like it, and a lot of people don't. My wife hates it and she thinks it's stupid, but I really enjoyed it. Big Bang Theory is
It's solid.
pretty solid.
It's a good show.
In this same region, 3 seed is going to be Modern Family, and the 6 seed is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of the few on this bracket that I have never seen.
It has a huge following.
Yeah.
There are some people who think that is the greatest show of all time.
It'll be
I've
interesting
never
to
been
see
able
if they come out of the woodwork and
Yeah.
vote for it.
I have
I've not
tried.
been able to get into it.
I've tried to watch Always Sunny before, and there's not a character in there that I find myself liking.
Mhm.
Similar to
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development,
yeah.
except that Arrested Development grabbed me, and Always Sunny has never grabbed me. So I've seen like maybe the first 5 seasons episodes, and
Yeah.
then scattered episodes. There are some parts of it that are some of the funniest clips I've
Yeah.
ever watched on
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.
Yes, some of the clips are downright hilarious.
I think
Yeah.
Arrested Development grabs you by making you think that Michael is a good guy in the beginning, and then you find out that he's actually not a good person.
Spoilers,
Yeah,
Justin.
sorry. If you haven't seen the first season of Arrested Development yet, you don't want to see it. I mean, I'm just saying.
You're right.
Like, if you don't have an iPod by now, you really didn't want one. Number 4.
What's an
that's
iPod?
That's an Office quote, sorry. Number 4 seed, speaking of Arrested Development, is the number 4 seed in this region, and it's going up against 5th seeded Will and Grace.
Literally never heard of that show.
Will and Grace is beloved by people who watch TV in the early 2000s. Late 90s, early 2000s. I think there's a lot of people who love that show.
Yeah. I like that show, actually. It's not one that I ever sat down and watched from beginning to end, but I've seen a lot of scattered episodes of
Yeah,
it.
same.
Megan Mullally is really funny in that show.
Mhm.
And even more than, Deborah Messing or whoever the other main characters are, like the head characters, I think she's really funny in it.
I'm happy. I've heard of all of the shows so far.
Okay, well, moving on to the next region, number 1 seed, Seinfeld, which, again, is a show you have to get it. Like, I really like Seinfeld.
I like Seinfeld.
It's another one. Angel hates Seinfeld.
I've never
We-
watched it.
We watched Seinfeld
Oh,
together.
I watched an episode with Daniel once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we've
the only
watched
episode.
Seinfeld together a couple times, and she's like, I just don't understand why people think this is funny.
It's
So,
a show about nothing.
it is a show about nothing, yeah.
Ah,
And it's going up
about
against...
nothing.
This was Daniel's one contribution to the bracket here. 8th
Oh.
seeded Malcolm in the Middle.
Going up against
Going up
Seinfeld.
against Seinfeld in the first
My
round.
contribution's about to get crushed. I loved Malcolm in the Middle. I really like that show.
And then
It's so funny.
the next matchup we have... Oh, I forgot to ask you guys in the second region who you thought was going to come out of that as the champion.
Are
And do
we
you
are
see-
we going to be held to this?
No.
Okay,
No.
good.
And then
cool.
do you see a potential upset?
I
I
think
think Friends is going down. I don't think Friends is going to make it to
I'm
the Final
gonna
Four.
I'm gonna go with the major upset here, just like I do randomly in my NCAA brackets. I think Always Sunny in Philadelphia is going to go to the Final Four out of that bracket.
That was my first thought also.
Wow.
Nah.
Taking out Modern Family and then potentially Arrested Development.
And
Actually, I
then
really
taking
respect
down whoever makes it out of the top
Yeah.
four.
This is a tough one though, because Big Bang Theory is another show that people like a lot.
Yeah.
I think that either Big Bang Theory or Arrested Development's coming out of this one. I do not think Top Seeded Friends is going to come out.
Neither do I. Alright.
And then in the next region, so we have Seinfeld and Malcolm in the middle. The 2 seed in this one is Cheers,
Oh, so good.
and it's going up against 7 seeded Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is a show that
I swear I thought that Curb Your Enthusiasm was the name of one of the sports shows that we were making fun of earlier. I'm 100% serious. When I saw that, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what this is.
I've never seen Curb. I hear it referenced a lot, and I think it is a show that receives a lot of critical acclaim. I'm pretty sure it's an HBO show. I could be wrong about that.
Huh.
That might be why I've never watched it.
But it also
Yeah,
could
it's on HBO.
it could potentially be a higher seed, but because I've never seen it, I seeded it at a 7. So
Oh,
it's going
no.
up against
A
Cheers,
dark horse.
which is a show that I like and have seen quite a bit of. It's also a very old show that I don't know if a lot of our listeners have seen.
It's so good though. Like,
I don't know if I've ever seen Cheers either.
Yeah, Cheers is good. Yeah, and then the next one is 3rd seeded Frasier going
Off
up
of-
against.
which is funny
Yeah, that's a spin-off.
because Frasier is a spin-off of Cheers.
Yeah. And Frasier is a good show, and Kelsey Grammer is a
I actually-
hilarious actor.
I like Frasier better than Cheers,
And
but I
then
understand the seeding.
6th seed is the IT Crowd, which
Oh,
this is a dark horse to me. I don't know.
That is.
you're putting me in a tight spot
If you haven't seen the IT Crowd yet, you need to go watch all of the IT Crowd
Before
before
you
you
vote. because the IT Crowd is a British show that is amazing.
Yes.
Literally one of my top 5 favorite shows.
And you're putting it against Frasier for me in the
Yeah.
first round. I honestly don't know how I'll vote in
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
Ah,
And then in the final matchup of this region, we have. This is a tough one for me too. 4-seeded Brooklyn Nine-Nine going up against 5th-seeded Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Also,
So,
never watched it.
Fresh Prince
I'm
of
aware
Bel-Air.
of what it is, but I've never watched
Fresh
it.
Prince of Bel-Air, when I was like older kid / teenager, was one of my favorite shows, and I love Will Smith. He's one of my favorite actors too.
that one's got the nostalgia vote.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is a really tough draw for Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Yes.
which is one of my favorite shows.
But I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I also recognize it's not for everyone.
Yeah, as is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Why wouldn't that be for everyone?
Because half the people probably weren't born when it stopped airing.
That's totally true.
Also, some people just don't really like Will Smith.
All right. Well, then,
Sure.
now, speaking of nostalgia votes, we're going into the final region.
Yeah. This is the...
Now, what do you guys think about? Do you think Seinfeld's going to win out of that region? This is another one where I think there's significant possibility.
I'm
that it-
going full Homer, like I always do.
You're going to say
And
Brooklyn.
I'm going to say Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
This is the worst bracket for me. I think I like Seinfeld, and then Malcolm in the Middle, Frasier, the IT Crowd, Brooklyn Nine-Nine are like 4 of my favorite shows.
This is the Daniel's favorite region.
Yeah, this is like, but they're all against each other. This sucks.
For me, that was mostly the first region. I put a lot of my favorite shows in the first region.
All of my favorites are in this one.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
I do think Seinfeld has a chance, but I think it's more likely than not to be upset.
I think Frasier. I want to say Frasier's going to come out of this
See,
bracket.
I think Frasier's going to go down early.
Because it's going against the IT. Gosh darn it!
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have
Okay.
no idea out of this one.
Final region. Now, this is all old shows. Number 1 seed, I Love Lucy, going up against number 8 seed, The Wonder Years.
Hot take that people are going to hate me for. I do not like I Love Lucy.
So, I Love Lucy.
People are going to hate me for that.
I
could never get into it, and I think I know that it was probably part of the reason why it was so funny for people, but the voice she uses on that
Yeah.
is like makes my ears bleed.
Yeah.
I don't want to sway the vote one way or the other. I also do not like I Love Lucy. It's one of Angel's all-time favorite shows.
I
Yeah.
don't like I Love Lucy, but I've never heard of The Wonder Years.
Yes.
You never heard of The Wonder Years?
I've heard of it,
Yeah.
never watched it.
Oh, that's a pretty good show. That was Fred Savage in
Oh, okay.
Fred Savage when he was a kid. I can't remember Winnie Cooper's real name, but
Fred Savage is the little kid from Princess Bride.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen that.
and it's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show. But I Love Lucy is primarily a 1 seed, not because I think it's enjoyable to watch,
But
because it was a massively groundbreaking show that changed television. Number one, having a primary female lead was a big deal. There was a lot of stuff, like including the way they did their lighting, the way they structured their plots, how many famous people did cameos. They were one of the first shows to have to switch from married couples having separate beds in a bedroom to sharing a bed together. It was one of the first shows that ever talked about a woman being pregnant, because that was extremely taboo at the time. Like, there was so many things about I Love Lucy that changed TV forever.
I recognize the greatness of it. Yes. I just don't enjoy it.
I agree. I 100% agree with that opinion. And then it's going up against Wonder Years, and then the next matchup is number 2 seed All in the Family going up against Happy Days. I think Happy Days has a chance here.
The only thing I know about Happy Days is
the
Fonz.
The Fonz.
Oh, that's the Fonz show. Okay.
And I'm aware because of the jokes with the actor in Arrested Development. That's basically
Ron Howard. Ron Howard
Okay.
was one of the main leads on that show, and now he's a really famous director. Yeah.
I didn't know Ron Howard was in Happy Days.
In Arrested Development, their lawyer is the actor that played the Fonz.
Oh.
Henry Winkler.
Yes.
Yep. Henry Winkler has done a buttload
And
of
he
stuff.
jumps over a shark. Yes, he does.
With a motorcycle.
No, in
Arrested Development.
Oh.
Yeah.
He jumps over a stuffed shark.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What was the first guy you mentioned? Ron Howard?
Yeah.
Wasn't he Opie?
Yeah, he was Opie.
Okay.
In the Andy Griffith Show, which didn't make the cut. Andy Griffith Show didn't make the cut for this bracket, but
I've seen that.
Fonzie is the most famous part of Happy Days.
Hey.
But Richie Cunningham, played by Ron Howard, was like the male lead of that show.
Okay.
Yeah. And then All in the Family is this one actually. It didn't run very long, but this was another one that gets a lot of critical. It gets a lot of critical acclaim for changing the way television is. I hated watching it because Archie Bunker is the main character in the show, and he is a massively unlikable bigot. And part of the way that they structured...
Wasn't there a spinoff from that show?
I don't remember. Was it Sanford and Son? I can't remember.
Why did I think?
I'm not sure.
I don't know any of these words.
But All in the Family, I didn't like watching that show because I hated watching the way that the lead character treated people. Specifically, he was terrible to his wife, which I really disliked. But they actually used that as a platform to bring to light a lot of the issues that we had in our country at the time. And so, for that reason, a lot of people believe that's a really important show in helping form and shape television as well. So that's why it got a 2 seed, even though I don't really enjoy watching it. Going up against Happy Days, which is just a fun watch with the Fonz. And then number 3...
Jeffersons are a spin-off from All in the Family.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Then we have MASH as the 3 seed going up against Get Smart.
MASH as a 3 seed, I think they are vastly underseeded. I think they will come out of this one.
I don't like that show either. But I do like Get Smart.
Get Smart is great.
That's a good show. I think this is a first round upset, and Get Smart's going to beat MASH.
MASH was the longest running TV show for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that might hold more weight than. But I don't know.
The reason because the writers couldn't find another job.
No.
Oh, okay. You just said that it was for a reason.
Oh, gotcha. Because they kept making bank.
Oh, I got you. It stayed popular.
Yeah.
And the final one coming out of this bracket is 4-seeded Gilligan's Island going up against 5th-seeded Golden Girls.
Oof. Wow.
There's
a lot of tough votes on this bracket.
This
on
is
the
a tough
entire
one, too.
thing. I love this.
These shows are also extremely different from each other.
Yeah.
Want to say that the primary association I have with Gilligan's Island is that I've never heard my dad laugh harder than he laughs while he is watching Gilligan's Island.